After increasing tension between the Pentagon and the White House over U.S. policy in the Middle East, U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel is stepping down. CCTV's Jessica Stone has the details from the White House.
I have today submitted my resignation as Secretary of Defense.
After less than 2 years on the job, U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel is planning his departure. He is a Vietnam War veteran, the first enlisted combat soldier to lead the department, who made a name for himself opposing the 2007 troop surge in Iraq. U.S. President Barack Obama says Hagel came to him a month ago to discuss moving on. Those who know Hagel say he had become frustrated with the White House's national security decisions. The U.S. media and several of Hagel's fellow Republicans have interpreted his departure as an ouster by the White House.
I can tell you he was in my office last week. He was very frustrated. We have no strategy to combat ISIS. We have no way of helping the Ukrainians. We refuse to give them weapons to defend themselves. We watch the turmoil in the Far East with the Chinese asserting themselves and everything. We see a lack of U.S. influence unknown in history. Already the White House people are leaking, well, he wasn't up to the job. Believe me, he was up to the job. It was a job that he was given where he really was never really brought into that real tight circle inside the White House that makes all the decisions.
The announcement comes after increased friction between the Pentagon and the White House over what to do about ISIL. U.S. military commanders publicly contradicted White House officials over deploying U.S. combat troops in Iraq and fighting ISIL in Syria. In October, reports surfaced of a memo from Hagel to National Security Advisor Susan Rice, allegedly criticizing the White House overall strategy in Syria. Hagel reportedly warned that President Obama's Syria policy was in jeopardy because he had been unclear about his intentions toward Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. White House officials claim the memo had no bearing on Hagel's resignation.
When I nominated you for this position, you said that you'd always give me your honest advice and informed counsel. You have.
CCTV recently asked Rice about the memo.
It's true that he wrote a memo. It's not true how you characterized it. The memo largely asked a series of, I think, very relevant questions about policy, both related to Iraq and Syria.
U.S. Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel says he will stay on in his role until the White House can both find and secure Senate confirmation for a replacement. Now, with a new Republican majority in Congress, that could take well into the winter. Jessica Stone, CCTV at the White House.